Is Aryna Sabalenka versus Elena Rybakina the world number one against the best player in the world? Tomorrow at Indian Wells, Aryna Sabalenka and Elena Rybakina will play each other for the 16th time. The tour's two best players meet for the BNP Paribas Open title on Sunday, March 15th, in a final that has felt inevitable since the moment the draw was made. On paper, it is a WTA 1000 final in the California desert. In reality, it is a referendum on a question the rankings cannot answer: who is actually the best women's tennis player in the world right now? Because those two things, the world number one and the best player in the world, have quietly diverged. And Sunday is where they collide again. Aryna Sabalenka against Elena Rybakina. The case for Sabalenka is overwhelming. Sabalenka holds the ranking. She has held it for the better part of 2 years, and she has earned it the hard way. She has won 16 of her first 17 matches in 2026, reaching the semifinals for the 6th consecutive WTA Tour event. She is the first world number one to reach the Indian Wells final in consecutive years since the tournament began in 1989. She is 27 years old, physically dominant, and technically the best server in the women's game. She also has 4 Grand Slam titles. The case for Sabalenka as the sport's defining figure is overwhelming and irrefutable. There is just one problem. The problem has a name. When those 17 matches are listed out, one of them was a Grand Slam final. And she lost it to Rybakina 6-4, 4-6, 6-4 in Melbourne in January, as Rybakina fought back from 0-3 in the third set. That defeat joined the 2025 WTA Finals loss to the same opponent, giving Rybakina back-to-back victories over Sabalenka in the 2 biggest matches either has played in the past 5 months. On hard courts specifically, the surface both players consider their strongest, Rybakina has won 5 of their last 6 meetings. She also beat Sabalenka in the 2023 Indian Wells final, on this exact court, in this exact tournament. The scoreboard, in other words, says something the rankings don't. Rybakina is officially 3rd in the world and will be number 2 after this event, whatever happens. She is functionally the player who wins when it matters most. The sport has not yet found a way to reflect that contradiction, and Sunday is its 3rd consecutive opportunity to either resolve it or deepen it. What makes this rivalry so compelling, beyond the obvious quality of the tennis, is that it operates as a pure stylistic contrast in the way the great rivalries always have. Sabalenka's game is built on controlled aggression, a ferocious first serve, a forehand she loads with pace and angle, and a relentless physical intensity that she wears openly on her face and in her body. She is one of the most expressive players the tour has seen in years, as every point is written across her features in real time, every loss fought against visibly, and every win roared at the sky. The crowd knows exactly what she is feeling at every moment. That transparency is part of why she has become the sport's most compelling figure. There is nothing hidden. Rybakina is her precise opposite. She has dropped just 1 set en route to the final, defeating Pegula and Svitolina, both top 10 players, in the latter rounds, doing so without much of any kind of emotion. She serves harder than any woman alive. She dictates from the baseline without emotion or signal, certainly none of the drama that Sabalenka provides. Watching her play is like watching a machine that has been programmed to win and is simply running the program. It is both deeply impressive and slightly unnerving. Where Sabalenka gives you everything, Rybakina gives you nothing. And somehow, giving nothing keeps proving to be enough. I'm so done losing these big finals. The psychological subtext of Sunday is as rich as the tactical one. Sabalenka has now lost the Indian Wells final twice, to Rybakina in 2023 and to Mira Andreeva last year. She has 0 titles at this tournament. After beating Noskova in the semifinals, she said what every tennis fan had been thinking since the draw was made. I'm so done of losing these big finals. It felt like even though players were playing incredible tennis in those finals, I feel like I had so many opportunities that I didn't use. It is a statement of grievance and motivation simultaneously. She even acknowledged, when pressed by an interviewer, that her career finals record stands at 22-19. Better than 50-50, but not the margin you would expect from the world number one. For a player of her dominance, That number is the one thing that complicates the legacy argument. Sabalenka wins tournaments by the fistful, but in the very biggest moments, against the very best opponents, the rate drops. And the player it drops against most consistently has a name. When asked which player she wanted to face in the final, Sabalenka's answer was immediate and telling: I want that match. She wants Rybakina. She wants to solve the problem that Rybakina has become. That desire is either the most compelling sign that Sabalenka is mentally ready to break the pattern, or it is the kind of thing you say before the pattern repeats itself. Rybakina, for her part, said she would fight as much as she can. Which is the least dramatic possible framing of a situation where she is, by results, the most dominant player in women's tennis over the past couple of months, gunning for a title on the same court against the same opponent she beat here 3 years ago. Understated to the point of provocation. Which, of course, is entirely the point. If Rybakina wins tomorrow, she will hold the Australian Open, the WTA Finals, and the Indian Wells title simultaneously, and she will still be ranked second. The rankings will continue to insist that Sabalenka is the world's best player. The scoreboard will have said something entirely different 3 times in a row, in the 3 biggest matches they have played. The official number 1 and the best player in the world. Tomorrow afternoon in the California desert, we will know who is who. Main photo credit, Mike Frye. Main images. Aryna Sabalenka versus Elena Rybakina. The world number 1 versus the best player in the world? In tennis, rankings tell one story, but the court often tells another. The numbers beside a player's name measure consistency, points, and results over a year. Yet the feeling among fans, analysts, and sometimes even opponents can be different. This is where a fascinating debate appears in modern women's tennis. When Aryna Sabalenka faces Elena Rybakina, are we watching the world number 1 versus the best player in the world? At first glance, the question sounds contradictory. How can the best player not be ranked number 1? But tennis history is full of moments when rankings and perception diverge. And the rivalry between Sabalenka and Rybakina perfectly captures this tension. The power of the ranking. Being world number 1 is not an accident. The ranking system used by the Women's Tennis Association rewards players who perform consistently across tournaments throughout the year. Grand Slams, WTA 1000 events, and smaller tournaments all contribute to the total. Sabalenka's rise to the top of the rankings reflects something rare in tennis: relentless consistency. She is a player built on power, intensity, and emotional fire. Her game is explosive, massive serves, aggressive returns, and ground strokes that seem to punch through the court. When Sabalenka steps onto the court, she does not just play tennis, she attacks the game.